Well, injuries can happen anywhere, whether you're on the road, at work, in stores, or even just walking down the street. But what many people don't know is what steps to take when they're injured due to someone else's negligence. But you know who does? Personal injury attorney Stephen Sinas, who's here with us today. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining us today. But Steve, when someone is injured, what's the very first thing that they should do? A lot of times there's a lot of emotions running through our head, but what's the first action we need to take?
This might seem very basic, but you have to check in with your body and see how badly you're injured. If you need medical care, you need to get that medical care. Maybe you need to take a rest that night and see if you need medical care the next day. But you must be in touch with your body because injuries can arise well after the fact. Secondly, if it's someone else's fault that caused the injury, you need to collect information, whether that's through law enforcement investigating something like a car crash. If you're injured at a friend's property, maybe you need to take photos, you need to talk to people who saw how you were injured. If you're injured at a business, you need to see what kind of record they have of the injury. So you need information if you want to pursue any rights you have under the law.
Now, Steve, a lot of people wonder when a situation qualifies as a personal injury case. So when does someone know, and how do they know if they should talk to an attorney?
Well, here's the deal. If you're seriously injured, that means that your life has been impacted by these injuries and you likely have significant rights and insurance benefits to pursue. But the issue is that when and how you were injured affects what those rights are. If you're injured in a car, you have different rights than if you're injured, say, on a piece of property at a friend's house. If you're injured in the course of medical negligence, then you have a medical malpractice case. If you're injured in the course of your employment, then you have workers' compensation rights. So there's all these different sets of rights that people have depending on how they were injured. That's what makes it so complicated for people. That's why they need to talk to an attorney to figure out what are my rights given how I was injured.
That's right. But what are some common mistakes that you see people make after they're injured?
Well, they end up talking quickly to insurance companies that call them. Now, some insurance companies they have an obligation to talk to, like their own insurance company. But insurance companies of the at-fault parties might be calling them. And then they start talking to those companies, giving recorded statements before they know what their rights are. So they have to know what their rights are before they start talking to other groups and parties involved with the incident, right? They also have to make sure they know how law enforcement, if it was involved, how they reported on what happened. And they also can sometimes, some of my clients don't pursue medical treatment they know they need. And it's not until a few weeks down the road that they're actually seen by the right specialist. Then it's harder to connect what they're experiencing with the actual incident because there's too much time in between. So you need to pursue the medical attention you need, and you need to gather all the information and also be careful with who you're talking to.
Yeah, I especially like the fact that you mentioned being careful who we talk to. I've been told once you're in a car accident, the very first thing you do is you call insurance, but clearly that's not exactly the best way to go about it.
You do have an obligation to communicate with your insurance company, and you need to do that in a mindful way. Make sure you're obviously being accurate and honest with them. But there are these other companies that can end up calling you, the companies who insure the at-fault party, and they say, hey, we just need some information. You sign this authorization or tell us how you're doing. And people with good intentions will start talking to them. And then we'll find out that that insurance company got a recorded statement from our client before that client even understood who they were talking to. So that's where you have to be careful.
That's right. Well, Steve, it's really all about protecting yourself early and getting the right information like you mentioned.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us and for walking us through all these steps. Like you said, injuries happen everywhere, but sometimes finding that right information first, gathering all that information first, finding out how we can protect ourselves is literally the first step as to how we move forward.
You have important rights here under American law, but it's complicated. So you need to take action, get representation, and protect those rights as best as you can.
That's right. So if you're looking to take action and learn more about what your rights are, depending on the situation, we have that information listed below. But thank you so much, Steve, for coming in.
Thank you.